Okay, hello everyone. I think we've got everyone logged in now. So first of all, thank you very much for joining us. Webinar today that we've got is Making Tax Digital, otherwise known as MTD, is what you might see floating around. So yeah, we're going to be talking all things Making Tax Digital, what that means, implications, what you need to do to get ready, all that type of thing. So we're looking at about 25 minutes, half an hour. So yeah, hopefully everyone that's logged in can get some benefit. So my name is Ben Schaefer. I'm the sales team manager here at Crunch, and with me I've got Verna, who's over from HMRC. So you guys are going to be talking to the source, I suppose, today. So if you've got any questions or anything for Verna, Verna's going to be talking through all the slides, everything about making tax digital. She's definitely the one with the knowledge. So hello to you, Verna.
Sorry, hi Ben, thanks for that. I love being called the knowledge.
Well, I think that's definitely your ace card today rather than mine. So look, let's keep going. What we've got today is, like I say, making tax digital for those people that are VAT registered. At any point through the webinar, if you want to send in a question, there should be like a little questions drop-down menu in your GoToWebinar widget. So feel free to get those questions in there at any point during the webinar. You don't have to wait till the end. And then anything MTD related, we'll try and get an answer from Verna, and anything that might be related to kind of Crunch or our services, I'd be more than happy to answer as well. So get those coming in whenever you like. Now, before we do get started, a little bit about Crunch. So obviously we're an accountancy practice. So we're an accountancy service as well as software, which ties into this MTD piece, but also we do a lot of self-employed mortgages, small business insurance, investment and pension advice. So anything that a small business owner or operator may need, we try and handle here at Crunch. Now, more specifically with the service, the accountancy service and practice, everyone that joins Crunch gets access to a client manager that manages their account, and also expert chartered accountants who provide all of the the know-how and actual physical filing of accounts. Realistically, what we're kind of best suited to, the self-employed market that we're best suited for, are contractors, freelancers, consultants, small businesses, that type of thing. So if you want to have a chat about anything about Crunch and how we could help you moving forward, just let me or one of the team know. Now, I think it's probably over to Verna at this point, where we think MTD. So first of all, Verna, what is MTD? Over to you.
Okay, so when I talk about making tax digital for business, I mean that you need to use making tax digital compatible software to capture your business transactions, to prepare your VAT return, and also to be able to send and receive information to and from HMRC via API-enabled software. So to get technical for a second, what's an API? So an API, or application programming interface, is the means by which a software application talks to a separate operating system. So for MTD purposes, it's a thing that allows HMRC's computer systems to exchange data with your software. Just to be clear, HMRC won't go rooting into your software to have a little look at your transactions or anything like that. All HMRC will be doing is sending a message to you when you send in your VAT return saying that we've received your VAT return. That should be all the kind of information you get from HMRC. So hopefully you will already be aware that from the 1st of April this year, 2019, the majority of VAT registered businesses with a taxable turnover above the VAT threshold, which is currently £85,000 taxable turnover. So those businesses must follow making tax digital rules. So that means if you're a business that's affected by that, this means that you must keep digital records and you must be able to send your 9-box VAT return to HMRC using API-enabled making tax digital software. Exactly when a business needs to start keeping digital records is covered in VAT Notice 700/22, Making Tax Digital for VAT. And if you have any questions about that, I'd recommend that you do have a look at that VAT notice. So just to repeat, that's VAT Notice 700/22. So it's important to note that with Making Tax Digital for VAT, many things won't change. So that includes your VAT return frequency. That won't change. So if you file your VAT returns monthly, quarterly, or annually, you'll continue to do exactly as you are doing now. Also, your payment deadlines won't change. And if you're eligible for any VAT schemes, they will still remain the same. So for example, if you're a business that uses a flat rate scheme or a cash accounting scheme, you could continue to use that under Making Tax Digital, as long as you still meet that eligibility criteria for that scheme. So in a nutshell, Making Tax Digital for VAT is not changing what you do, it's just changing how you do it. So we want you to send your VAT return to HMRC via an API. So as I said, from April 2019, VAT registered businesses with a taxable turnover above the VAT threshold must follow Making Tax Digital rules. So just to be clear, you only have to do it if you're a business that is VAT registered and your taxable turnover is over the VAT threshold, which is currently £85,000. So taxable turnover includes standard rated, reduced rated, and zero rated supplies. It doesn't include any exempt or outside the scope income that you receive. So we do get a lot of questions about this test. So to be clear, if your business is voluntarily registered for VAT, so if you're VAT registered voluntarily and your taxable turnover never exceeds 85,000, the VAT registration threshold, you don't need to follow the Making Tax Digital rules. Of course, there's nothing to stop you joining the Making Tax Digital service if you want to. You just need to sign up to use it. So for those coming in from April 2019, because their turnover is already over 85,000, you need to start following Making Tax Digital rules from the first VAT accounting period that starts on or after the 1st of April 2019. So to try and give you a bit of an example how that works, if you're on quarterly returns and your return goes March, April, May, you don't need to follow Making Tax Digital rules until the 1st of June 2019. Once your business is required to follow Making Tax Digital rules, you must continue to apply them even if your turnover subsequently falls below the VAT threshold. And aside from that, there are a limited number of exemptions towards following Making Tax Digital rules. So here is a timeline for Making Tax Digital milestones, which goes from now until October 2019. And I appreciate there's a lot to take in on that slide, but probably the most important thing to know is that from now going forward until April, you can join the VAT service and file your VAT returns digitally. You don't need to wait until you're mandated to do so. So hopefully you've looked at the VAT Notice 700/22. And if you have, you may have seen the term functional compatible software. And it's defined in the VAT Notice section 3.2 as a software program or set of software programs, products, or applications that must be able to record and preserve digital records, provide information to HMRC and returns from data held in those digital records by using an API platform, and also be able to send and receive information from HMRC via the API platform. So that's the definition of what functional compatible software is. So this is a definition of what are digital links. So digital links is an electronic or digital transfer of data between software programs, products, or applications. And that is defined in section para 3.2.1 of the VAT Notice. In simple terms, it means that where a digital link is mandated, there can be no manual intervention or retyping of information from one product to the other. So for example, by noting down totals from one accounting package and then using that handwritten information to manually update your spreadsheet isn't allowed. There needs to be a digital link there. Or reading the total figures on the screen and then typing them into a spreadsheet, again, you would need a digital link. And also you shouldn't copy and paste or cut and paste into a spreadsheet. An acceptable digital link could include XML import or export, macros or linked cells or spreadsheets. For example, if you have a formula in one spreadsheet that mirrors a source's value in another cell, then the cells are digitally linked. We do have a lot of questions on this point, so I'd encourage you to read para 3.2.1 of the VAT notice to make sure that you are clear on this point. We do recognise that for some businesses with more than one existing accounting product, it may be difficult to get digital links in place in time for April 2019. So HMRC have allowed a soft landing period for this. And if you've got any questions about that, let me know and I'll go into that later on. So just to be clear, businesses can continue to maintain invoices either in paper or electronic form. But if your software allows you to scan and store invoices, you probably won't need to keep paper copies. But if you just type data from the invoice into your software package, you'll probably need to keep the invoice in its original form, as the data in the software is not an original copy of that invoice. So if you go to this page on gov.uk, you will see that there are over 150 software suppliers who have already told us that they're interested in providing Making Tax Digital software for VAT, and more are approaching us every week. On this page is a short list of suppliers who have shown us a prototype of their product and tried it out in what is known as the test environment. You'll see that Crunch are listed there, along with almost 50 other suppliers. And as I say, this list is growing each week. So I often get questions about penalties in relation to Making Tax Digital. And I just want to be clear that the HMRC want to help businesses comply with their obligations, and we're not intending to issue penalties to raise revenue. We do recognise that businesses may need time to get used to Making Tax Digital. So there will not be a blanket exemption from penalties for Making Tax Digital. However, during the first year of mandation, HMRC will take a lenient approach, and we won't pursue filing or record keeping penalties where we can see that businesses are doing their best to comply with the law. Obviously, we will take action to safeguard VAT revenue, and sanctions remain possible in cases of deliberate non-compliance. And that's it now. Thanks, Ben. I think I'll hand back to you now.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Verna. So, look, I think from Crunch's perspective, when we're giving you guys some takeaways for this, what is this going to mean for your business with MTD coming down the pipe really soon? It means that if you are VAT registered, you need to start taking some action, or you need to start getting prepared, because that deadline is going to be the 1st of April 2019. The deadline is further away for other taxes, or if you're below the VAT threshold, but if you're VAT registered, the date you need to know realistically is 1st of April 2019. And it means that your paper records, if you're filing that way, are no longer acceptable. So you're going to need some kind of API-enabled link with HMRC to do your returns. So yeah, get ready now. I mean, like I always tell people, prospective clients, when they're coming on board with Crunch, that it's better to take action now rather than leave things until things get into a bit of a mess. So now's the time to break your old habits, start storing receipts electronically. You're going to need to think about, no matter, even if it's for any taxes, you're going to want to start considering moving to an online accountancy software that is MTD ready, such as Crunch. Make sure that you are monitoring your turnover on a regular basis. So if you are getting towards that VAT threshold, that you know about it. And if you need to be VAT registered, seek some advice. We're here to offer all the help and support for the clients, whatever it is that they need from an accountancy perspective. So either get in touch with us or your accountant, whoever you may be using, whatever your accountancy solution is, seek some professional advice if you're ever unsure. So what we're going to do now is go on to some questions that hopefully have come in over the course of the webinar. There is a question here that says, what if I'm not above the VAT threshold? I know that you kind of covered it off in the presentation, but I think people are just looking for that extra clarification. So what happens if I'm not above the threshold? Okay, so let me try and answer this one best I can. So if you are VAT registered voluntarily, so below that 85,000 threshold, then there's kind of no mandatory MTD requirement. Though if you become a Crunch client, then Crunch will register you for MTD, even if you are voluntarily registered. So you do need to monitor your turnover as it's a rolling 12 months or within 30-day period. So as soon as you know that you are over that threshold, and you have to submit using MTD within 30 days. So if you are VAT registered and above the threshold, you have to submit. If you're not VAT registered, then you've got probably a little bit more time. Okay, let's try another question here. So we've got one here that says, what happens if I'm not ready? I think probably the answer is something, I mean, there are no loopholes really. Everyone who's VAT registered and above that threshold is going to have to do it via MTD. They're taking away the ability to kind of use that old system. So there's no wiggle room or no movement around this legislation that's coming in, and you're going to potentially face penalties if you're not ready. So yeah, you're going to need to take some action if you are VAT registered.
We're just going to see whether Lenny from HMRC is able to answer any of these questions. Lenny, can you hear us?
I can, yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Hi, Lenny. Yeah, hopefully you can answer some of these questions for us. Might be having a little bit of technical difficulty getting hold of Verna.
Yeah, go on.
Question for you here, Lenny. When do I need to start keeping digital records?
Okay, so digital records will be required from the 1st of April. A lot of businesses will already be keeping digital records, either in accounting software or in Excel or similar spreadsheet packages. But you must have digital records from the 1st of April, because it'll be mandatory if you're above the 85,000 threshold to submit an MTD VAT return for your period 1st of April to the 30th of June, which will be due by the 7th of August.
Okay, great. Another one here. When do I need to have this software in place?
Okay, that's a good question. Software is always better to have it in at the outset, but I appreciate that it's 6 weeks away from the digital record keeping requirement. The absolute latest I would suggest would be in June, before the end of the VAT period, because then you'll need to start compiling it in July and get it submitted via an API on the 7th of August.
Okay, so some other ones here. Our invoices, once they're generated, are held in a PDF format on our cloud. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's digital record keeping. The invoices will be there. It's a case of customers are only sending us the 9-box return. They're not sending us transactional data, which is what they do now through the portal. But it's a case of, should currently one of our compliance colleagues wish to make an inquiry, they'll go back to the customer and ask for sight of the records. And more and more these days, those are being sent to us digitally through Dropbox and other avenues. So that would sound fine. Having PDFs on the cloud, absolutely fine.
Great. Another one about software specifically. We generate invoices in an Excel application and then upload those to Sage, which is MTD compliant. Is that going to be okay?
Provided that if they're only creating the invoices in Excel, then that's fine. If they are using the information from the invoices in Excel and they're uploading it, sorry, I didn't catch which software product, but if they're uploading to Sage, then that link would have to be digital. So there'd be no rekeying, as long as there was a digital link to get it from Excel into Sage, absolutely fine.
Okay, so on that note of digital links, when do they need to be in place? We have a complex process and several parts we'll need doing.
Okay, digital links, we appreciate that things may have to be done in terms of getting software ready, making changes, making them compatible with each other, particularly if you're using more than one software package. So it's a case of 1st of April 2019 is MTD mandation. That would start with digital records, but there is what's referred to as a soft landing period which will be up until the 31st of March 2020, to allow businesses time to get the digital links in place. So during that soft landing period, digital links wouldn't be required, but as soon as a customer is ready and can get them in place, we would certainly recommend getting them in place as quickly as possible.
Okay, great. So this one should be pretty straightforward one, I think. If my next quarterly tax period is March, April, May, do my digital records start from April or from June?
Okay, so if the VAT quarter is March, April, May, then they won't need to file under MTD, that's fine, but digital records would be required from the 1st of April.
Perfect. So does digital record keeping go as far as having to keep a digital copy or picture of receipts, even if they are entered into an accounting software?
If everything is in the accounting software, if all the required information is in the accounting software, then there'd be no need. Some software packages only take part of the information. So some invoices don't have everything on them, and that can be amended by the software provider. But it's a decision. What do people want to do? Do they want to go entirely digital and have everything in the software package, or do they still want to keep, they can still keep paper copies of invoices, for example, or do they want to digitize that fully and have it as an integrated system?
Okay, great. One last one here, I think, is kind of on that same line. Do we need to scan and store images of purchase invoices and expense receipts to our MTD compliance system?
They would have to keep the paper receipts if that's what they wanted to do. If they wanted to keep everything digitally, then yes, they could scan them, take a photo of them, and then everything is digitally stored, whether it be in the cloud or wherever. If you have a mixed environment of digital and paper, that would be fine, but it's a little bit messy. We would hope that the clear direction of travel is digital by default, but paper will still have a place. People will have lots of existing paper receipts going back for the past 6 years. We're not asking them to be back scanned and brought into the system, but over time, we would imagine paper will slowly disappear.
Well, it sounds like every office around the world.
If only.
Right, so I think that gets us to the end of all of our questions. So thank you everyone for sticking with us. Hopefully we got some really good information and some clear lines of sight on MTD. Just a couple of things before we do head off. If you do want any more updates on webinars, information, free white papers, things of that nature, we've got a really good community that everyone can join. It's called Crunch Chorus. So like I say, webinars, invoice templates, invoice software, all that kind of good stuff. It's no cost whatsoever. It's really just a hub of information for people that may want it. It's crunch.co.uk/chorus. We're going to send out a copy of the slides as well as some recommended reading for everyone to take away and have a look at and do some research in their own time, some good bits of takeaway knowledge. And if you need to get in touch with anything MTD, anything accounting based, or if you want to talk to one of the guys about potentially joining Crunch or using Crunch or just ask some questions, get in touch with us on that number there on the screen, or you can contact advisors at crunch.co.uk. So thanks, Verna. Thanks, Lenny. Thanks, everyone that joined, and we'll see you guys next time. Cheers.